Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
You've been through so much, like for instance, the 2016 Grey Cup. How hurt were you? Because I'm sitting there watching the game, getting ready to watch it all on TSN, like, Henry's got a knee injury, right? And we're like, oh, my God. How bad was it that day?
Oh, it was bad, honestly. It was bad. Even leading up that week, I was constantly getting treatment on my knee, and I just knew something wasn't right. But it was unfortunate that in the game, on the best surface possible, playing on grass, which players always welcome, that's when everything just kind of went awry during the pregame warmups, and I felt a pop in my knee. And we all know, for those who've experienced just a slight cartilage tear, when it happens, you know right away. And I'm thankful for the doctors and the staff with the Ottawa Red Blacks at the time, and the Ottawa nurses from the city of Ottawa, who came together and were able to come up with some concoction and inject it into my knee and give me some painkillers. But regardless of Alex Singleton and Micah Johnson and those guys hitting me left and right during that game, I couldn't feel it. So I could, I would look them in the eye when they would say, "Hey, boom!" I know that had to hurt. I'd say, "Guys, I can't even feel it right now." But it felt good. It kind of put the icing on the cake for me to be able to go there and do what I needed to do, just to finish my career off in the right way. But trust me, my knee was all jacked up, and that's the reason why, for me, if we had to play another period in overtime, it would have been tough for me to survive that, because by the end of that game, my knee was completely locked out due to the amount of swelling that was in my left knee.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
It's like Ravine, the famed illusionist. He would hypnotize the whole crowd. My dad always told this joke. He goes, "Oh, yeah, Ravine was performing at the Center of the Arts. He had the whole room hypnotized. And he said, the next thing I say, you will all do." And he got tripped up, tangled on his mic cord and tripped and went, crap. Took him 2 weeks to get the smell out.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Yes, it is. Look at me. Look at this. We go to where, and I left the banner behind the bookcase. Dope. And I'm going to need your help coming up here in hour one of Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show, coming your way on the Game Plus television network and streaming. It's episode number 1419. Still no Moose, but from what I understand from the people in Kindersley and Saskatchewan that are watching the Tankard and Scotties broadcast, although they don't call it the Scotties anymore, he's doing a great job. Rod Black lined up to be our co-host here to get things rolling in hour one, and there's no Rod Black, although Clark assures me he'll be with us before long. So I guess what I'm saying is now would be the time to comment in. 902-518-3033. The streams. I've left some things behind me here. I didn't really clean up the office, but that's okay. It's not a big deal. We don't take ourselves too seriously here. I guess let's get into it, Clark. Can you hit the quick six show horn if you don't mind? Or whomever is producing. I don't even know who that is, but that's okay. We're off and running. We're back from Chicago, and I know nobody cares. It's raining here in Florida. I was on the radio in Calgary last night. QR Calgary, Jock Wilson was really worried that it might have been snowing here, because you have all seen the video. Highways were closed up on the Florida Panhandle, the north end of the state. We're good down here. Oh, the styrofoam is exploding on me. I brought back my Connor Bedard bobblehead from Chicago, and I wanted to have a big unveiling here on the air, but it's exploded. It's like it's snowing in the studio. It's snowing in South Florida. Styrofoam here. When we have time later, I'll open this and we'll have the official Connor bobblehead unveiling. Okay, we got Rod Black. Okay, well, hey, perfect. Listen, you're jumping in the middle of it. Rod Black, the iconic, famed broadcaster, first ever voice of the Raptors. So listen, I'm going to get your take in a second. Here's what we do. NHL leftovers from last night. I'm only going to highlight 3 games, RB. In Montreal, Jake Evans scored the winning goal with 2:15 to go. The Montreal Canadiens beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 3-2. The Habs are the best team in the NHL since December 17th. In New York, Igor Shesterkin made 20 saves, and the Rangers blanked the Senators 5-0. And in Edmonton, where everybody's talking about up here. Luc Dubois had a goal and an assist. Washington won their 5th in a row. They beat the Edmonton Oilers last night. The Oilers were without their star forward, Connor McDavid, serving the first of a 3-game suspension for cross-checking. I don't mean to laugh. I chuckled because I'm like, we're going to put it in park and spend a second or two on Connor McDavid's suspension, because I don't believe we've had a show since this came down 3 games. At least I haven't been on the air for it. And I got some time for the suspension, Rod. You're in Canada. You must have seen I'm assuming you're in Canada. You must have seen the clip.
Yeah, I did. I think there are a lot of, obviously, people in Edmonton. Obviously, the Oilers are upset by it. They feel it's too much. They probably thought maybe 1 game. I have a feeling that's justice. I think 3 games sounds about right. I mean, you can't hit somebody in the face with a stick, and as badly as he was wrestled and grappled and held and hogtied and roped by Connor Garland, it was a pretty vicious shot to the face. The fact that Connor McDavid did not appeal that, I think he kind of knows that's what justice was served. That justice was served. I think if you look at it and you judge by other Tyler Myers as well on Bouchard, I think it was probably just. And unfortunately for the Oilers, they're going to have to be without their superstar for a bit. And it's too bad it was such a marquee game last night. But you can't go around hitting somebody in the face with a stick. I mean, this is a league that's trying to get rid of what? Headshots? It's trying to get rid of headshots, yet you still have fighting, which doesn't kind of make sense. But,
okay.
And I am the biggest Connor McDavid fan. He's the greatest. He has the greatest skill set that anybody in the National Hockey League has ever had. Still doesn't have a Stanley Cup, maybe this year. I think the Oilers are starting to round into form, but they need Connor McDavid, and he's going to have to find ways to fight through this stuff. And by the way, the officials are also going to have to find ways to stop what we had before he smacked Connor Garland in the yap. So
okay.
I think 3 is just.
I view this as a treasure just to have Rod Black on the air and listen to you. But can I counterpoint something for you? And we lost Rod Black. He must have got a phone call or something. That's okay.
No,
I want to hear from.
Can you hear me?
There he is. Okay. Yeah. We got you. Your screen went black for a second, but we'll figure it out. No big
you know
deal.
what? That's called a blackout. Fade to black.
That's funny. A blackout, everybody. 902.
Did I ever tell you about the time, Rod, that I was working with somebody?
No.
I was working with somebody, and well, first of all, I once worked with JoJo White doing a basketball game. So it was black and white in color. So we had a black guy named White, a white guy named Black, and that was unique. But then also in Winnipeg at my local station when I started CKY, there was a reporter, the anchor that night, Barb Ross, had a bit of a malaprop. She said, "That's the weather for now. Rod will be black in a moment with the sports." So I guess we did go black there for a second.
Wouldn't that be something? Now listen,
that?
if we can keep this on point for a second. You just said McDavid's got the greatest skill set in NHL history, which he does. Do we not? Where are we in the world in terms of there are different rules for different people? How can Tom Brady own a team but also be a broadcaster?
Yeah.
It's in the league bylaw, the NFL bylaw. Well, yeah. My point here is the officials weren't protecting Connor McDavid, so he took it upon himself. Let me go back to when I was 12, Rod Black. I was being bullied at a hockey school. My dad went to the organizers, 3 goalies that were running it, Daryl Baumgartner, Darren Wilcox, and Daryl Hublet, 3 Daryls. Darren Wilcox, Daryl Hublet, Daryl Baumgartner, they said, we can't do anything with it. He's going to have to handle it himself. I was 12. So I went up to that bully and I smashed him in the face. The bully's parents complained to the guys that ran the hockey school. They said, we didn't see it. It didn't happen. I had to handle it on my own. And I don't see how this is any different that Connor McDavid had to handle it on his own.
Well, here's the difference is I think Connor McDavid could have handled it on his own by punching him in the yap. I would have probably punched him in the yap, but you cannot, Rod, you can't take your stick, which is a huge weapon, and lay it across the face. I mean, you're automatically going to get suspended. It doesn't matter who you are. You're Connor McDavid, you're Connor Garland. It doesn't matter who you are. You put that stick into somebody's face. I think Connor McDavid tries to handle it on his own. I think the refereeing absolutely sucks at some points on some of these players that are getting tied up. How could you miss? Stevie Wonder could have made that call with Connor Garland. He wrapped him up like a pretzel. I mean, the only thing that, beyond using a rope to tie him up, how could you miss that call? And I'm sure afterwards the officials are looking at it going, and I'm sure the Department of Safety is also looking at it going, well, look at, yes, you cannot retaliate with a stick. So my only thing for Connor McDavid is that you can't use your stick, but I would definitely punch somebody in the nose or in the yap, and which you did, by the way. You didn't use your stick, right?
No. No.
No.
He
Yeah.
used knuckles
And by
right
the
here,
way, I
baby.
mean, I know they have protection. They have visors. They have visors, but the bottom part is not protected. And the last thing you want to do is see somebody lose some chiclets. Ask. I saw a great video. Look it up on Keith Kachuk when he took a shot to the tooth, just to this area, to the mouth area, and the puck went in the net a few years ago. Watch that, and you'll understand what it means to get a shot in the face, whether it's a puck or a stick, and how you never recover from it. So that's why he got 3 games.
Okay. Hey, listen, I appreciate the discussion. Rod's saying if he'd punched him, not cross-checked him, he'd have been fine. That's Rod Black's take.
Punch him in the
I think that's what we're here for.
Wrestle him to the ground.
Okay, everybody. That's what
can't use your skates.
That's what it seems to work. Okay. Now, moving on, dude. Well, I have you, I hope, for 40 minutes. We have a lot of things to get to here. Point 2 of the Quick Six show topics. The near annual playoff matchups between Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen are hardly unprecedented. The one-sided nature of the postseason rivalry between the two star quarterbacks is more unusual. Mahomes' Kansas City Chiefs will host Allen and the Bills in the AFC title game on Sunday night for the 4th postseason matchup between these two in the past 5 seasons. Mahomes has won them all. In the first 3 anyways, winning the 2020 AFC title game, 2021 divisional round matchup at home, and then a divisional roundup last season in Buffalo. What I'm asking, it's the poll question today, Rod Black, for EMJ Marketing. What's the best Super Bowl matchup? Is it Kansas City, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Washington, or Buffalo, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Washington? Yeah. What do you think is the best Super Bowl 59 matchup
I love
in New Orleans?
them all. Yeah. I love them all. The one that's least compelling to me would be Washington Buffalo, and that's not going to happen. I like Washington Kansas City because I do think that Jaden Daniels is the next Patrick Mahomes. He plays like him. He improvises like him. He's got the quick feet. He's got great poise. And he kind of is coming into the game the way Patrick Mahomes did, and the star was born. But I don't think they're going to get there. The best matchup in terms of compelling television would be Philadelphia and Kansas City. The Chiefs going for the three-peat. The Eagles trying to avenge a loss, of course. Saquon Barkley, who I believe should garner some MVP votes, but he won't. Lamar Jackson's going to be the MVP. Having said that, I do think the MVP of the league is Patrick Mahomes. I don't care about numbers. I don't care about anything. If you're valuable, if the Kansas City Chiefs did not have Patrick Mahomes, they're not there. He does get a few calls every once in a while, like we all see. But I do think the matchup that's going to happen is the Philadelphia Eagles and the Buffalo Bills. I have a feeling, for some reason, I don't know what it is, I just see a different Josh Allen. I see a more poised Josh Allen. What kills Josh Allen in the past is trying to do too much. The Buffalo Bills are going to have to play tremendous defense to beat the Chiefs, especially in that place, which is haunting. The weather isn't going to be as bad as it was last year when the helmet was broken, or even last week when everything was absolutely frigid. It looks like it's still going to be cold, but it's not going to be absolutely frigid or a snowstorm. But for some reason, I just see something, Rod, in this Buffalo Bills team that is different. And I love the way they talked afterwards. It wasn't look like they were celebrating anything. I love Josh Allen's interview after the game when they were trying to play, here it comes. You got to chant, hey, we're going to worry about Kansas City next week. Not this, hey, we can beat Kansas City, which every reporter, as you know, we're reporters, try to bait the interview subject. So I think Buffalo Philadelphia for me. I think the best matchup obviously would be for ratings would be Kansas City and Philadelphia. But I have a feeling Bills Mafia is going to the Super Bowl. I really do believe that.
Leading the polls here on Twitter and YouTube amongst our viewers is Kansas City, Philadelphia. From the audience, Carlos in Indianapolis says Mahomes Allen is becoming the new Manning Brady. From Sea Lightning writes in and says, please, no more Taylor Swift. Listen, these games aren't rigged. They're not. But what's best for business? I'm starting to realize, Rod, if you sit back and go, what's best for business from an NFL perspective, you might pick a Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl. Listen, right. It's been the best thing for the NFL financially since Taylor Swift got involved.
And Caitlin Clark and whoever Taylor Swift decides to bring in this week.
Right. I know. Well, people are going to tune in to see. So there's that. Like, you've called so many games, as have I. The games aren't rigged. You can't tell me teams aren't favored. It happens. Subconsciously, it happens. What do you think about that?
I do think there's a subconscious and a bias built into a referee. I do believe in it, especially regarding no person wants to be booed or jeered. And I do feel that referees sometimes, especially for the home field, base their calls on reaction and crowd reaction. So, I do think there is some inert bias, but I do not believe that they're rigged. I don't think this is rigged for Taylor. It's absolutely atrocious. I mean, all the conspiracy theories out there, by the way, there are tons of them, and we're dealing with more of them this week because, of course, our world has changed considerably politically. But no, you can't rig it. If it was rigged, honestly, I think an incredible matchup would be Lamar Jackson against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, Lamar Jackson, again, I think he's going to win MVP. I feel badly for Mark Andrews this week. He's the Bill Buckner of the National Football League. And unless somebody does something equally outrageous or egregious this week, unfortunately, Mark Andrews is going to have to live with that play. But that would have been an incredible shootout too. But I do like this Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. But Josh Allen hasn't won anything yet. And that's the thing. And Patrick Mahomes, by the way, there's no other quarterback in the National Football League under the age of 35 that has as many even one Super Bowl ring. Patrick Mahomes has them right now. And of course, he's trying to chase down Tom Brady. So that is an intriguing storyline, Rod. The Patrick Mahomes, is he the GOAT of all time? He's got a long way to go. He's got 4 more to get. But I tell you what, he gets into the conversation by getting a three-peat, which nobody has ever done before.
Yes. Wonderful use of the term inert, by the way. Ryan in upstate New York writes in, he says, good day, Rod Squad. Buffalo, Washington would be something to see. A rematch of Super Bowl 26. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes in, he says, I voted Kansas City, Philly. I agree with Rod Black. He said Bills. Rod said Bills. When we come back, we'll talk more on this, and we will talk Bob Uecker. You met the man, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, many times.
The NFL coaching carousel. Look, we'll be right back in a moment. We're live on the Game Plus television network across Canada and 32 U.S. states, including Illinois. Streaming live, podcasts, wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Broadcasting from beautiful South Florida. Oh, it was nice to get home this week. Very much enjoyed our time in Chicago, that title in town. But it was nice to get back to South Florida where it is not snowing. We're also very excited to announce we've renewed our partnership with Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. It's an amusement park for hockey players, a family-run business where skill and fun collide. Head on down there and look up Randy and Michelle. Tell them the RP Show sent you. Speaking of Rod Black joins us, and here's our next point.
Podcasting around the world, the Rod couple.
Exactly. Exactly, the Rod couple. Point 3, Bob Uecker, the voice of his hometown Milwaukee Brewers, who after a short playing career earned the moniker Mr. Baseball and honors from the Hall of Fame, has been laid to rest in his home state of Wisconsin. Uecker's family said he had battled small cell lung cancer since early 2023. I never met the man. You have several times, you said. What did you think when you heard Bob Uecker passed away?
Oh, I was really sad. I knew he had been suffering. I got to know him in the early 80s, actually, on some speaking engagements that I was hosting, one in Winnipeg, later one in the Maritimes, and then quite obviously my son, Milwaukee Brewer, being around it, I got to, I was down there a couple of times and bumped into him. And he wasn't clearly the spry Mr. Belvedere, Harry Doyle anymore, but boy, could he still call a game. And I think for my son, it was really cool that Bob Uecker called, a few of his hits in spring training. And, he had that pitch, there's Ty Black. And he was, I think the best way somebody described him the other day, Rod, is that he was the friend that you never met. He was baseball in Wisconsin on the radio. How many people have two statues, one inside, one outside? One outside was at American Family Fields, and I guess there's a memorial there with tons of tributes. And then one inside up in the Euchre row, the Miller Lite commercial, and he was everything. And anytime he was anywhere near anybody in Milwaukee, he was revered. He was an icon. He was a legend. There's an old saying, it's not the amount of years in your life, it's the life in your years. So I would say that Bob Euchre passed away last week at the tender age of 300 because he was a beauty, and he had all the great lines, and he was self-deprecating. Milwaukee's going to miss him. I know at the end of the season, when I talked to my son, and I saw some of the interviews with Christian Yelich in particular, I think Bob Euchre, that sudden dramatic ending to the season when when Alonso hit the home run for the Mets, it kind of knocked them out of the playoffs. But I think, it was everybody in that room kind of knew that might be the last time they see Bob Euchre around the dressing room. And it was sad. And he went around and talked to all the players, and he was a friend to everybody. And I think that's the thing. We don't see that very much in broadcasting anymore in sports. Was he a homer? Yes, but he was an objective homer, and he was the Milwaukee Brewers. He was aptly called Mr. Baseball.
Hey, it's interesting, man. Now, when I cover the teams here in South Florida, they bring the coach in. We stand there for the scrum or the news conference, and then they're whisked out of the room by the PR person immediately. Yeah. The players, that bond has been broken. It's different for the play-by-play guys versus the regular media. Yeah. But we were just in Chicago last week, Rod, and drove by this building. I'd never been to Chicago before. 3-story high.
And one of my favorite cities. I love Chicago.
Oh, my God. What a town, bro. I brought home my Connor Bedard bobblehead, which will go lovingly on the thing here. But it's just, Bob Euchre played. I was thinking about this. Pat Summerall played in the NFL. Bob Euchre played in Major League Baseball. There are a few other. Randy Moeller calls Panthers games and played for the Panthers. Like, guys that were athletes became play-by-play guys. I'm not sure that's ever going to happen again.
No. And I look at our athletic careers. I don't think we qualify. I mean, I was a javelin catcher and captain of the miniature golf team. But no, I mean, but I do. By the way, I do think there is something to having played. I do think as a caller, I mean,
of course,
I was fortunate enough. I never became a pro, but I was fortunate enough to play. I think there's something to be said for people who play the game in getting an understanding of what it's like to be an athlete, even though none of us made it to that level. Bob Euchre kind of understood that all the time. And he always, it'd been interesting if he was a football announcer, how he would have handled, the Mark Andrews situation or the Bill Buckner situation back in '86. Same way. I mean, I think he's always, very few announcers now side on the play, on the side of the player. And not to make an excuse, but they make you understand what the player was going through. We don't have that much anymore, and players are reticent to talk now. They have everybody's a broadcaster. Everybody who's got a phone's a broadcaster, and they can make their opinions felt on social media, which is great, free speech. But there aren't many like him. And you're right about Summerall and Bob Euchre. Bob Euchre was really, really a special man. And his lines were classic. His Hall of Fame lines, everything that he ever said. I remember one banquet that we were at, and he said, I thought it was the greatest line ever. He said, my father said, he looked at me and said, son, we have to embrace our failures. And he came up and he hugged me. So it's like, that's so Bob Euchre.
That's like a Rodney
Dangerfield. My manager said to me, we got to stop the rally. So he sent me to the plate with a bat. It's like, that's so Bob Euchre and the Miller Lite ads. And a lot of people forget Mr. Belvedere, and he was on the price. And Johnny Carson, the Tonight Show. Johnny Carson made Mr. Baseball famous. He had him on more than any other guest. And Johnny Carson just absolutely loved Bob Euchre, as everybody did. So rest in peace to the Uke.
All right. Moving on, point four, the Quick Six Show topics. Rod Black, good enough to join us this hour. Lou Gamelin will join us next hour from Michigan, the 12-ounce sports network. NFL again, the Minnesota Vikings and coach Kevin O'Connell have agreed to terms on a multi-year contract extension. The deal reached Tuesday follows a 14-3 regular season that defied external widespread preseason projections of at least a losing record, if not last place for the Vikings. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys completed an internal interview with offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer on Tuesday night in their search to replace former coach Mike McCarthy. Schottenheimer is the first internal candidate to interview for the job. Mike McCarthy interviewed with Chicago, but the Bears hired Detroit offensive coordinator Ben Johnson as their coach. And I bring this up as, again, Rod's a pro sports guy. I just came from Chicago where they're poo-pooing, the Bears fans are poo-pooing the hiring of Ben Johnson, going, who is this guy? Never been a head coach, never won anything. The Lions folded. Well, how do you feel about this NFL coaching carousel here this offseason?
Well, I think, what we're starting to see is analytics are really coming into play now. And there aren't as many legendary coaches. I mean, there's no Mike Ditka that's going to walk through the door right now. And, you think about the Andy Reids and some, they're the larger than life characters. We just talked about Uke, who was larger than life. You don't have that as much anymore. I mean, I guess the Harbaughs, the Harbaugh brothers, would file into that category because they played at the highest level. But what we're starting to see is a lot of assistants who are graduating and coming up that level. And maybe that's because the players make so much money, and we're seeing it in every sport. I think we see it a lot in hockey. Players make so much money that, you can't fire players, but you can dispose of coaches. And so we're in this era of this data-driven, strict, sabermetric-driven world, a betting world, by the way, as well. And we're starting to see shuffles. I like Ben Johnson, by the way. I think that's a good hire. I still think that Deion Sanders' name could come out. I mean, again, they look for legends. One thing about Dallas, they always kind of have that name. There's a lot of talk about, Rex Ryan coming back.
From Rex.
How many times can play coach? How many coaches could be discarded? That's the thing. But hey, hang on one second. I want to show you something. Hang on. Talk amongst yourself. Watch this.
I can't imagine what he's going to show us here now. Rod Black, everybody's going to grab us, I think, a piece of memorabilia. Everybody guess. What is Rod Black going to put in front of the camera? Maybe he was answering.
You tweaked me, though. You tweaked me.
Okay.
Shout out Joe Carter, by the way. Joe Carter Classic. What's your favorite team?
The Dallas Cowboys.
You're a Cowboys fan, huh? So I am because I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba. What do you think, beyond a CFL team, what team would you logically
I saw
for?
the
And
purple.
I think a lot of people insist. Yeah. And so I went to the Lions game with my son, who's a huge Lions fan, at Ford Field, which was an absolute debacle for the Vikings, who absolutely peed the bed the last couple of weeks. And I'm not sure about Sam Darnold moving forward, but anyway, because he had such a great season, I thought this might be the year of the Vikings. But he had his St. Brown jersey, and I had my. Look at that,
Fran
baby.
Tarkenton. Ooh.
Yeah, but I probably
signed
because Fran Tarkenton went to 4 straight Super Bowls and lost. He pulled the Jim Kelly, and but I'm a huge Vikings fan, and so. We'll see what happens there. But I think, they got great fan base. It's going to be interesting. It's musical coaches right now. And it's funny. Like, even this weekend, no job is safe in the National Football League, especially if strategically something happens. I mean, you talk about the Lions. Dan Campbell, I think Dan Campbell is a fantastic coach. Chemistry-wise, leadership-wise. But, man, that dude, can he out-trick himself every single time? Coaches don't win, they don't come up with these plays to win games. I think they try to outsmart themselves all the time. Oh, that play worked. Why not play it safe? Why not play it like it is? The way it's going to unfold, like it should unfold for the Buffalo Bills? Trick plays every single year. Yeah, they might work, but guess what? When it comes down to the Super Bowl, although the Philadelphia special worked a few years ago, they try to out-trick themselves. And something? You can out-trick yourself out of a job.
No, I agree. Well, and by the way, I was listening to Dan Patrick this morning. Yeah, there you go, Fran Tarkenton. I love it. The Purple People Eaters. Listening to Dan Patrick, they said, who's winning the offseason in the NFL for teams that aren't still playing? And they said, well, let's just wait and see what Dallas does. Maybe they'll win the offseason. It's just the command that the Cowboys and Jerry Jones have of people's attention is almost sickening to me because I'm a Cowboys fan, and that's what Jerry wants. We go over it on this show
like
all
the
the
Yankees.
time. I'm tired of it. Yeah, but at least they've won.
Yeah. Well, so did the Cowboys. The Cowboys used to win a lot, and everybody hated the Cowboys. It's kind of like the Chiefs now, don't you think? That, everybody fell in love with the Chiefs a few years ago. And beyond Kansas City, I know they love the Chiefs, and there's Chiefs fans everywhere. But now you become the evil empire because people want to see you. They want to put you on the pedestal. They want to put you on the podium, grab the trophy, and then they want to rip you down. And
they want to knock you off.
That's kind of what happened to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes, but I mean, again, we follow the team every day, and we're all sick of Jerry. Just sell the team or get out of the way. We're just sick of Jerry and the way that he treats people and blah, 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 blah. But let me ask you this. Just
he owns the team, Rod.
Thing again. Stop saying that. Please stop. I hear that all the time about owners that are running their teams into the ditch.
Well,
don't
Rod,
talk about franchise
get
value.
This podcast out to 60, get it out to 50 states, get it around the world, start making a little more cake, and buy the damn team.
How about that?
That's a great idea. No, I'd rather
talk
just
to Elon
bitch
Musk
about
or
it.
Bezos or Zuckerberg. Get them out of politics and start buying sports teams.
Elon Musk's mom is from North Battleford. Just putting that out there. Yeah. I just blew my own
I'm not
mind.
going to give the solution.
Okay. We're not going down the politics road today.
No, we're not. No, we're not, Rod. We're not going down the pike. We're not going down there right now.
What do you got going on here? In 90 seconds or less, what's next up for Rod Black? Please tell your legion of fans.
Busy with a bunch of games, some stream games down south. I do a bunch of basketball and some hockey right now, but I also got to do a lot of speaking stuff right now, which is great. Love doing that. It's kind of January is kind of always the January buzz, and get ready for the spring. CEBL creeps up, and if anybody out there needs, I'm fully available. If you need your car cleaned, your garage cleaned. You got a birthday party or bar mitzvah you want me to host, I'm happy to do that for you. I've got my OnlyFans account, which is not going very well right now. and I don't know. That's about it. I got lots going on, and then of course spring training begins. So I'll get down in Arizona, which I love, and watch my boy.
The best, man, the absolute best. Rod, thanks for coming on. It goes very fast. Appreciate you.
No, it does. All right. Well, go Bills, go Eagles, go everybody. And by the way, it's freezing up here, Rod. So stay warm, stay healthy, everybody.
I miss it. I miss it every day.
No, you don't.
Rod Black joining.
No, you don't.
Rod Black joining us from Ontario. We'll be right back, everybody, with a sports update. Viewer takeover the rest of the way. Lou Gamelin, Captain Lou Gamelin. I almost said Albano. In hour two. We have a lot of fun things to get to today. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcasts, wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house. Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven. And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Okay, everybody, we are back at it. By the way, do you have a winter birthday in your house? And is that birthday boy or girl obsessed with hockey? Then look no further than Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary to throw the best birthday parties in the Calgary area. With state-of-the-art equipment, spacious shooting lanes, games for all ages, and a licensed bar for the adults, Overtime Hockey Lanes is the perfect destination to celebrate in the Calgary area. And we're pleased to announce today that they're back with us for another year. That was a quick year. So thank you, Randy and Michelle. We love you. You know that. Everybody, it's an amusement park for hockey players in 28th Street Northeast, Calgary. How about this? Clark, can you find this on YouTube? Any positive comments we need to highlight from the L's on YouTube? The L's, that's the name, writes in and says, my friends and I met Rod outside a Rider game at McMahon Stadium in 2008. Definition of class. What'd I do? I'm going to throw that up on the screen, Clark. I need the pub. I need the good pub. Or can you find it? Oh, you don't have the, then don't put it up. Don't worry about it. It's all good. I don't know. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in and he says, another guest with a Trump impersonation? I got to tell you, I didn't expect that from Rod Black. I didn't expect it from Mike Richards. Just so you know, no Trump impersonations from me. No. Tony from Cochrane, Alberta, writes in. He says, my wife is a huge Vikings fan, too. And I bought her a Tarkenton jersey as well. How about that? My recollection of Fran Tarkenton is that old TV show, Thrill of a Lifetime. Wasn't he on that? With John Davidson, not the former New York Rangers goalie, but a different guy, the talk show host. And my fuzzy childhood memories, Fran Tarkenton. I don't remember him as a player. I remember him on television hosting Thrill of a Lifetime. Ryan, Cardinal Ryan, watching in Saratoga, New York, writes in. He says, in 1962, I was named the minor league player of the year. It was my second year in the bigs. Get that, everybody? Everybody get that? Can you get the... Again, I was named the minor league rookie of the year. It was my second year of the league. There you go. 2-for-1 job. Just checking to see what we have here. Bill in Regina writes in. He gave me the Ron and Don bobblehead over my screen, my shoulder here. He says, good morning from snowy Regina. Connor McDavid's 3 games is the correct call because he turned and went after the other player. Okay, Mr. Disciplinarian. You just showed up. We talked about it at length with Rod Black earlier. He says it's the right call because he used his stick as a weapon. Had he punched him in the mouth, it would have been fine. Oh, okay. Where do we draw the line on pugilism here? Before I jump into this sports update in a second, I do want to... I will sit here and tell Chicago stories for the next while. And Lou Gamelin coming up from Detroit. I'm getting to be friends with a lot of Detroiters, and they're good people. Why do I sound surprised? My Connor Bedard bobblehead. I love it. And I want to say something about Chris Chelios. Rod Black's been to the dance, and I've been to the dance. Chris Chelios has been to the dance. And so Saturday night, I didn't maybe tell as many of these stories as I would have liked on Monday's show. But sitting there with Chris Chelios hosted us in the Blackhawks alumni suite at the Chicago-Vegas game at United Center. And again, thank you to Mike and Joanne Lee. They're probably watching right now. They hosted us there. They came in from Saskatchewan. Serena and I came up from Florida, and we had a big time. But anyways, we'll probably be talking about this on the Cats and Bolts podcast later today. That's the Florida hockey show that Serena and I do. Chelios walked into the suite. We were in there already. She just stared at him for 30 minutes. 30 minutes, she just stared at him. Chris Chelios. She's a fan. So we asked him, what do you do now? And he goes, this. Watch hockey, host people like you in the suite. It's a good life. And we go a little further into it, and he's a hockey guy, right? Played in Moose, obviously, Hockey Hall of Famer, 9th all-time in NHL games played. But, he was let go at ESPN as an analyst, never made a big stink out of it. He's like 60, he'll be 62 this year, I think. I'm terrible at math, as you know. But he's enjoying being a papu. That's a Greek grandfather. He talked about his daughter, Kaylee Chelios. We've all seen her, right, on this NBC Chicago or whatever the sports channel is they use to carry the games. He goes, she's about to have her 4th child. He's the proud papu. Chris Chelios. And my point on all this is Rod Black said, what's Rod doing now? A lot of speaking, calling a few games. Said he'd wash your car and detail it if you're interested. That was pretty funny. But, I don't know, you get to a point where you've done so much that you want to pick and choose what you want to do, and you want to take it easy. Chelly's doing it, and he's happy. Rod Black's doing it, and he's happy. I'm doing it, and I'm happy. And last week in South Beach, when I met with that gal, Michelle, from the treatment center, the rehab clinic in L.A., she was selling me on her clinic to use for my interventions. She goes, of all the things you do, what do you love the most? I said, I actually love the sober coaching the most. Coaching people in recovery to turn their life around. That's what I enjoy the most because it feels the best. But the sports broadcasting is the easiest, so let's do that. Sports update, let's do that as well. The NBA has postponed tonight's game in New Orleans between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Pelicans after a historic winter storm dumped about a foot of snow in the Big Easy. Tuesday's winter storm made road travel treacherous in a subtropical city with minimal snow-clearing equipment on hand. And my mind immediately flashed to the guy that I saw, and you'll laugh when you'll probably laugh. I'm not laughing when I say this, but I think of the guy that I saw wrapped up in a comforter with no shoes He was a homeless person and very clearly an addict that I saw in downtown New Orleans. I thought this morning, how's he doing? If he's still alive, last time I was there. And what did I think? There's a better way to live, bro. There's a better way to live. That's what I think when I think of this snowstorm immobilizing New Orleans. The guy had no shoes. What's he doing today? It's not a joke. And Ichiro Suzuki became the first Japanese player chosen for baseball's Hall of Fame, falling one vote shy of unanimous when he was elected along with CC Sabathia and Billy Wagner. Suzuki received 393 of 394 votes from the Baseball Writers Association of America. What's funny is the hunt is on now to find out who that guy was that didn't vote for him. That's the talk now here in America. Who's the guy that didn't vote for Ichiro? How could you not think Ichiro was Hall of Fame worthy? And should these votes be made public? Because they're not. Just something people are talking about today. Viewer takeover when we come back and more. We'll get to those CFL notes if you want. For the CFL fans that are here, we're live on the Game Plus television network, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
From cash spiels to grand slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
RP Show continues. A quick look in on the comments, 902-518-3033. This will spill over into next hour. Blair in Calgary writes in, he says, "Hey, Rod, yesterday's show was a great show because of Nick Lewis. He is so sharp. Every question he was asked, there was no hesitation. His answers were fast and factual and to the point. His knowledge and love for the CFL is obvious. CFL content is the main reason I watch the show. You need to get him on the show much more. And producer Clark did a great job." Signed, Blair. I told Clark that. He did do a great job. Just so you know why Nick is clear, concise, and whatever, all those things you said. He's not working for anybody right now. It's a lot easier when you're not working for a team to be clear, concise, and honest, just so you know. But thanks for the kind word. Kirk writes in from Toronto regarding what is the best Super Bowl matchup. He says, "Hey, Rod, hope the Bills defeat Taylor Swift on Sunday." Come on, Buffalo, you can do this. Clark, did Mike Wilner go on about Trump yesterday when he was on? I didn't notice. He didn't? Okay. It's all good. Kirk goes on to say, "Hey, Rod, RP Show had that pant load Wilner on yesterday, and I couldn't care less what he has to say about anything. Turn the volume down." So I didn't know what he said and if he went on about Trump or not. Chris in Surrey, BC writes, and he says, "Fran Tarkenton was on. That's incredible." Okay, I got it mixed up. John Davidson as well, right? Fran Tarkenton, John Davidson. Not the former Rangers goalie from Calgary. Different John Davidson, but I'm loving the comments from the audience about Fran Tarkenton, by the way. Rod Black unfurled the Tarkenton jersey earlier when he was on, so it's got everybody all worked up into a lather. Paul in Humboldt writes and he says, "Was Fran Tarkenton's scrambling style the reason for Bud Grant's gray hair?" Tony in Cochrane, Alberta says, "Fran was the man, the original scrambler, throw on the run quarterback." I'm smiling because, guys, I just went and looked up his wiki. That's Wikipedia for those that don't know. Francis Asbury Tarkenton. Don't blame me. Blame his parents. Francis Asbury Tarkenton is 84 years of age. Still kicking. Born in Richmond, Virginia, played high school in Athens, Georgia. Played with the Vikings from 1961 to 1966. Then with the Giants for 5 seasons, and then back to Minnesota from 72 to 78. John Frenzy imitation here. 1975 NFL MVP. 1975 NFL Offensive Player of the Year. 9-time Pro Bowler. Named to the 50 greatest Vikings teams. Sorry, the 50 greatest Vikings plus the 25th anniversary team, 40th anniversary team. 2-time first team All-SEC. Won the Orange Bowl in 1960. Member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame and College Football Hall of Fame. Francis Asbury Tarkenton. Served as a commentator on Monday Night Football and a co-host of That's Incredible. Now I want to go watch That's Incredible. That's what I want to do. So thanks to Rod Black for bringing that up. Next hour, Lou Gamelin's going to join us from Michigan to cry in his beer about the Lions being done. We'll talk a little bit of Wings, a lot of NHL, and the CFL if you want it. We'll poke around on that next hour. We have a lot to get to, but I'm expecting a lot of audience participation right out of the chute in segment 1. So please help me out, y'all. And we'll be back after this brief pause here on Game Plus and the screens.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
So what was it like coaching the Panthers in the 90s at the old Miami Arena? And he said it was in a bad end of town, and the police told him, when you come to a red light around the arena, don't stop. Keep rolling through because they'll come and steal your car. And he was driving an 86 Toyota Corolla. So he said he came up to a red light, and he didn't stop. He rolled through the intersection, and some local yelled at him, "Don't worry, we wouldn't steal that piece of garbage."
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey everybody, we're back, and that was Doug McLean, by the way, his story of coaching the Panthers, and he's going to be on our Cats and Bolts podcast later on today. I'm excited about that. Yes, we're back in South Florida, home from very cold Chicago, and it's hour 2 here today of Canada's favorite daytime sports talk show, and also airing in 32 U.S. states, including Prairie City, Illinois. I feel for this next segment, it's going to be a lot of morphing of the day's sports topics of what we do, plus some of my stories. And that suits me just fine. Here on episode number 1419, coming up, we'll be joined by Lou Gamelin. He is such a great guy. He's a tremendous broadcaster from the 12-ounce sports network in Michigan. He's a big Detroit guy. And he speaks well. He's a broadcaster, I would hope. I'm looking forward to that. You guys want to hit the Quick Six show horn back in the truck? Just going to re-up on what we've been talking about. And speaking of re-upping, we can't make a big enough deal out of this. Re-upping is the RP show and Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. We're a big hockey show, big hockey people, and so are they. It's literally a match made in heaven. Overtime Hockey Lane's back with us. Check them out in Calgary, 28th Street Northeast, where skill and fun collide. Family-owned business run by Michelle and Randy. Tell them the RP show sent you when you go in there. And we opened the show with NHL leftovers. You know what? We covered it very well. The 3 games I highlighted from last night. Montreal Canadiens beating Tampa Bay 3-2. The Habs are the best team in the NHL since December 17th. And things are flashing into my mind now. Remember all the crap that's been said the last 3-4 years of this rebuild about Martin St. Louis? Oh, yeah, you remember, right? The people that were saying, oh, he was coaching Pee Wee. Oh, he's never coached before. What is this telling the world? Guy, I could sit now for an hour and talk about this. So what that he never... It's not about that. It's not. And if you don't understand that, we can't be friends. It reminds me of when Rich Preston, famed member of the RPM line in the 80s, Preston, Ruskowski, Mulvey. RPM, Ruskowski, Preston, Mulvey. I was just with Grant Mulvey on the weekend, Chicago Blackhawks. Great. When Rich came to coach us with the Pats in 1995, Clark, you were just a toddler at that time. He had one of his sons, Troy, Lucas, and Thomas. Rich's 3 boys. Troy was playing minor hockey, and Rich slid behind the bench of his kids' game. I want to say like 10 and under, whatever you call it now. U10. He got kicked off the bench because he didn't have the proper certification. Rich played 8 years with the Chicago Blackhawks, another several more with New Jersey, and had just coached the Blackhawks to the Stanley Cup final with Darryl Sutter, but he couldn't coach a 10 and under game in Regina, Hockey Regina, because he didn't have the proper certification. Anyways, the point is Martin St. Louis knows what he's doing. And the thing is, it's Montreal. They're not going to get sucked in by what the media is saying, by what the fans are saying, or by what anybody's saying. Bravo. I hope Montreal gets into the playoffs. They're doing it right. They have done it right. Senators got blanked in New York 5-0. Igor Shesterkin made 20 saves for the Shutty for the Rangers. And in Edmonton, the one that everybody's talking about, Pierre-Luc Dubois had a goal and a helper. The Capitals won their 5th in a row, defeating the Oilers at Rogers Place. The Oilers were without star forward Connor McDavid, serving the first of a 3-game suspension for cross-checking. Now, clearly, these names that I'm bringing up now and my history tells you that I am old school, but the guys that are making the decisions in the NHL are old school as well. They're at least as old as me. I don't think they got it right with the 3-game suspension for Connor McDavid. And Rod Black was with us an hour ago. And he said they did, and he's like, Rod, you can't cross-check somebody in the face. Sure, but there's different rules for different people as far as I'm concerned. There was 2 analogies that I used. Number one, why can Tom Brady own an NFL team and be a broadcaster on Fox? That's against the rules, but he's allowed to because he's Tom Brady. And then I talked about being bullied as a 12-year-old in hockey school when I was a kid, Western Canada Summer Goaltender School. I'm embarrassed to say now, but my dad went to the organizers and said, the guys that ran the school, and said, my kid's being bullied. What are you going to do about it? They said, we can't do anything about it. Rod's going to have to handle it himself. So he told me that. The next day I walked up to the bully and drilled him. I was 12. I didn't want to do it, but I was told to do it. And the bully's parents went to the guys that ran the hockey school, and they said, this young Pedersen kid punched our son. What are you going to do about it? They said, we can't do anything about it. Had to handle it on my own because nobody else was handling it. See what I'm getting to? Connor McDavid had to handle it because nobody else was handling it. And Rod Black's saying, if he just punched him in the face like you did, it would have been fine. But he used a weapon, a stick. You can't do that. Oh, okay. I'm just wondering whose rules are for what. I guess we're all playing by the same rules, so that's fine. I just don't agree. Later on, Clark, you and I are going to play NHL breakaway bets, so just get ready for that. Not here, but later on, you and I, Clark. We'll get to the football talk in a second, but number one, Jeff the Stamps fan has written in and says, why are you talking about Fran Tarkenton? Did he die? No, but Rod Black was with us, and he admitted to being a Vikings fan, Rod Black, and he unfurled a Fran Tarkenton signed jersey And not that there's anything wrong with the fact that Fran Tarkenton's 84, but I'm like, it speaks to all of our age, I think, as to who our favorite players are and the eras. It's cool. Very cool. Mark writes in, he is watching in Burlington, Ontario, and he says, hey, Rod, did you try that pizza place in Chicago that you were talking about? Did I? We tried 4 of them, guy. Didn't get to the one that Dale Talon told us to go, and that's unfortunate. We're going to have to explain ourselves to Dale Talon, former general manager of the Chicago Blackhawks and the Florida Panthers. He said, you got to go to Gino's East. It was closed all weekend. But we did go to a place called Lou Malnati's, Giordano's, Luke's, and I feel like there was a 4th place. The best out of them all was Lou Malnati's. As I said to Serena as we ate in our hotel room in downtown Chicago, we had takeout. As soon as we landed, we ordered that puppy. I said, this pizza has spinach on it and slices of tomato, and I still think it's the greatest pizza I've ever had, or at least best deep dish I'd ever had. Coming out of the weekend, Lou Malnati's in Chicago is the best. But I never got to Gino's East. So next time, you always got to have something, right? The best pizza still remains Western Pizza. You're welcome to the bonus empire. Tony from Cochrane says, your Bedard bobblehead needs to go on the top shelf over your left shoulder, Rod. Oh, the top shelf? What do you think, Clark? Should I?
Bingo!
Like here?
Oh,
like there?
no.
You can't even see,
Oh, no.
See him. What are you talking about? Oh.
Hoorah!
Over my left top shelf? What are you talking about? John.
Bingo!
Okay, thanks, Clark, for directing me via Rick Reagan sound effect.
Approved.
John says, Western is my favorite, too. Oh, it's the best. Here in South Florida, we have a place called Jets Pizza, which is my favorite. It's a combination of Pizza Hut and Western Pizza. Glenn in Medicine Hat writes in and says, the rules no longer allow McDavid's teammates to step in, so guys that mess with him will have to eat wood. No, guy, that's what I said. Apparently we're wrong, Glenn, from Medicine Hat. Colt writes in from San Diego and says, what about Boston pizza? What about it? Brent from Wellington, Florida writes in, he says, you can't put them on the same level as grapes. You can do whatever we want, brah. Utah Darren writes in and says, anyone who lives in the U.S. and doesn't understand there are 2 sets of rules for different people haven't been paying attention at all. I feel like you guys are all repeating the things that I've been saying forever. I guess that's why you're tuned in, because we see things the same way. I'd hate to have people tuning in that are haters, fighting with me every day. It's an opinion, relax. And by the way, I said I would talk about CFL stuff because I'm not going to do that, obviously, with Lou Gamelin, who's coming in next. But I was on the radio in Calgary last night with Jock Wilson, and I am so grateful and happy for our Alberta viewers, followers, and fans. I love it. And I didn't ask Jock why he has me on, but he said, he goes, I love having you on, Jock Wilson, QR, Calgary, AM 770 radio. He goes, because you're unbiased when it comes to the CFL. And that's a fact. I'm not cheering for anybody. I don't hate the Rough Riders, but I don't cheer for them either. The rocky ending is still there, may be there forever. That's a topic for another time. But I can sit and look at all 9 teams and offer analysis and opinion very fairly of all of them, because I don't care who wins. The NHL is the same. For my own reasons, I don't have a favorite NHL team, but because I live in South Florida, I'll say the Florida Panthers, but I'll scoot up to Tampa in a second. That'll be my team. Serena, my beautiful better half, is an Oilers fan, but it clouds her judgment And she'll even admit that. Like when the Oilers lost in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup to the Panthers, she didn't talk for 4 days. I literally are you mad at me? Let me know when this ends. I don't want to live like that. For the CFL fans, there's a few items here. And by the way, there's a payoff to following the league so closely as I do. Just as a fan, I'm not poking around looking for scoops and stuff unless I come up with something like Chris Jones going to join Bill Belichick at the University of North Carolina, which nobody gives me credit for anyways. But at least I know, like the CFL will see free agency open on February 11th as teams continue retooling for the upcoming campaign. The focus then shifts to the next wave of talent at the CFL Combine in Saskatchewan from March 21st to the 23rd before the top prospects are selected in the CFL Draft and CFL Global Draft on April 29th. All this is at rodpedersen.com, just so you know. So if I go fast, you can go back and read it on your own. The CFL Players Association says it strongly protests the CFL's suspension of defensive back Luchez Purifoy for violating its drug policy. Hours before the CFL announced it was suspending Purifoy for 2 games, the Edmonton Elks released the 9-year veteran. The league suspended Purifoy on Friday, saying he tested positive for amphetamine, a stimulant that can be used to treat such disorders as attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It was Adderall. When did Adderall become a performance-enhancing drug? I'm stunned that it's on their list. I don't know everything about this, but I know enough about it to talk about it on the air. And as a mental health and recovery coach, I have a lot of experience with that. And I clarified to Jock, because he didn't even know on QR Calgary last night, while they are publicly saying they have a problem with a suspension, they're not appealing it. Why? Because he doesn't have a team. The Elks cut him. So any team that signs him is going to be looking at him dealing with a 2-game suspension anyways. Probably the end of his career. Final summation on that. Sorry to say as a CFL fan, but another player gets screwed over by the machine. Next. Bo Lacombo is calling it a career. The BC Lions veteran Canadian linebacker announced his retirement Tuesday. The 6'1", 230-pound Lacombo had 30 tackles, 1 special teams tackle, 3 sacks, and a forced fumble in 14 regular season games in 2024. So there you go, your daily CFL news update. Way more of it at rodpedersen.com if you're down. Just sifting through the comments because, as I said, it's just you and me here, but only for another 60 seconds. Oh, by the way, Colt writes in, he says, do you see Curtis Rourke joining the CFL? I think the CFL came out with its draft ranking, prospect ranking, and Curtis Rourke is at number 1. If he comes to the CFL, it won't be any time soon. Jeff brings up a good point. Jeff, the Stamps fan. See, you're all waiting for this. He says at least the CFL will not adopt the ridiculous NFL kickoff rules. Lou Gamelin may have some thoughts on this when he joins us next from the 12-Ounce Sports Network, but Jock Wilson brought that up on QR Calgary Radio last night. This is what I get from my football people here in the southern United States. College football has not gone to, what do they call it, the static kickoff? The guys don't move, and they're 10 yards apart. College isn't going to it. High school hasn't gone to it. Only the NFL is. And the CFL, apparently Dave Naylor announced yesterday, they're not going to be going to it anytime soon. So will the NFL go back to the old way? No, because that would be admitting that maybe they were wrong. They don't like to do that. Most leagues don't. But we know for sure the CFL will not. All right, we're going to Michigan next. That's going to be fun. Lou Gamelin joins us. Captain Lou. We'll be back in a moment on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcasts wherever the best podcasts are found.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Talking sports on a Wednesday. Life is good. Hour 2 brought to you by Culligan Water. Drink clean, live green, filter your water for a healthier tomorrow. Culligan Water of Regina. Visit culliganregina.com. I'm pretty excited to know that Culligan Water sponsors the Chicago Blackhawks and the RP Show. As a matter of fact, their luxury suites are sponsored by Culligan Water. So how about that? But we're going to Michigan now. My Detroit guy, Lou Gamelin, joins me, and I'm getting to be friends with a lot of Detroit guys. And, Lou, I'm finding out you guys aren't that bad. You're not that bad, Lou, when you're not whining about the Lions.
Well, I got to tell you, Rod, thanks for having me on the show. It's I'm not whining about the Lions. You know what? We've had one heck of a run the last couple of years, and it's not over. And what really gets me, and I find it kind of amusing, is all the backlash that Ben Johnson's getting from going to Chicago. We've never been in a position in my lifetime where another team has poached a Lions assistant coach to be a head coach, ever. And so this may be a new experience for everybody in Detroit, but it's been a fun ride, and I don't think it's over.
I feel like it's taken you a few days to get to this realization, because you were moaning pretty hard the day after the Lions did a faceplant against Washington.
It was amazing that it did take a day. I'm not going to lie. Saturday night was rough. It was a rough sleep. We had some great expectations here in Michigan. We had, visions of Super Bowl, again, something Detroit fans like me have never experienced. But it was the perfect storm. Jaden Daniels has played magnificent. I mean, he hasn't made a mistake in the playoffs at all. And Detroit did. Jared Goff, a fumble, a couple interceptions, some bad penalties, the 12 men on the field, you name it. I'm not going to take anything away from Washington. They planned it perfectly. Aaron Glenn guessed wrong on a couple of his blitzes, which you live by the sword, die by the sword, right? And it was a tough one to get over. But, the reality is, I think the cupboard is still full. It's not bare by any stretch.
Well, let me get this one. So from the audience, from a few folks, Ryan McCarthy checks in, Cardinal Ryan from Saratoga, New York. He says, hey, Lou, are you guys on the same podcast network? Belly Up, are you on the same network?
No.
12 ounce, Belly Up?
No, not anymore.
No?
We used to be.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
So.
Colton San Diego says, I don't think Dan Campbell gets canned. He's a great coach. Nobody's saying or thinking that he will be. But listen, Lou, watch your toes, because I'm going to drop a couple names here. Saturday night, I was in the Blackhawks alumni suite with Chris Chelios, and he was just staring like he was transfixed on the Lions Commanders game. And at halftime, as you know, it was swelling. The score was swelling quite a bit, and he was mad. And he's like, "They're cursed." And he said to Serena, he goes, I had played in Detroit for 20 years. I'm a Lions fan. Sorry. That's what he said. Is that the case? Do you guys think you're cursed? Is there a chance you're cursed?
Well, they go back to Bobby Lane. When he got traded to Pittsburgh, they said he said they'd never win another championship ever again. They tried to exorcise the demon. I don't know if we're cursed. It just sometimes it sure seems that way, Rod. It's just tough breaks. But, like I said, this is the best run I think that Detroit's had in my lifetime. Obviously they've built something. They've got a culture. And, like you said, there's no way that Campbell's going to get fired. It's almost another thing that we're not used to saying here in Detroit is this is almost a destination spot for the NFL. And I think that there are going to be coaches that'll want to come to Detroit to be coordinators and special team, whatever. And I'm excited to see what the future is going to hold for Detroit. It sounds like Aaron Glenn today will probably get the job at New York. God help him there. But it's like I said, the Super Bowl window is not closed. Detroit's got too much talent, especially in the offensive side of the ball.
Let me say this. I do want to get it around the NHL and the Red Wings and so forth. I know you're a hockey guy, but I just came from Chicago where they're not overly excited with Ben Johnson as their head coach. I heard something this morning. Are they paying him $13 million a year? Have you heard that, Tab? They are. Okay. That's one thing. Yes. And then two, why is it in football? Because I don't really see this in hockey. The guys come up as a position coach, hopefully for their sake, a coordinator. Then they become a good coordinator. Then they must become a head coach. Ben Johnson's the sexy next one of that. Why is that the way that it works? It's never going to go. Like, he's never been a head coach before, right? If I'm the Bears, right. I'm not sure. It feels like a gamble to me, but that's what Bears do.
Well, I think it is a gamble, and it's funny as I saw something yesterday that was quite interesting. Offensive coaches that go to teams with very young quarterbacks haven't succeeded at all lately. Look, and the teams that have succeeded, I'll give you Buffalo, for example. Sean McDermott's a defensive coach, right? And he's got Josh Allen. This year, Jaden Daniels, who's his head coach, Dan Quinn, defensive guru. I mean, it's going to take a lot of work because, like you said, Chicago, the Bears are, it's ugly there right now. They need offensive line help badly. And, that leadership group that they have, very questionable. Kevin Warren's not, in my opinion, not the greatest leader. And so, we'll have to wait and see on that. There's a lot of work ahead of him. I know he's excited. Yeah, who wouldn't be? And especially when you're getting offered $13 million a year when Campbell's making $4 million.
Yeah.
God bless him, man. Take the money and run.
you can't blame him for going. Of course not. But, yeah, they're upset in Chicago. But what a town, though. What a town. We love Chicago. 902-518-3033, the number to text us here if you want to join the discussion with Captain Lou, Gamelin, and I from the Captain Lou Extravaganza. Okay, to the Wings. Listen, I got to be, I told you, friends with a lot of guys. George Eichhorn, former producer at WXYZ. He's still in Detroit. Scott Morganroth. I'm not sure if you know Scott. He runs the South Florida Tribune, but he's a Detroit guy. They're wondering how Todd McClellan turned the Wings around like that. Largely, it looks like he has. What do you think?
Yeah. Well, it's obviously a fresh voice was needed in there, Rod. I'm not surprised that Lalonde got fired. You know, I'm glad that Yzerman waited to pull the plug till after Christmas. You know, but they needed something there. Obviously, they weren't clicking. I don't know if Derek lost the locker room, but then the Todd father, as everybody's calling him in Detroit, you know, they went on a 7-game winning streak. Now, obviously, they've lost 3 straight. Tough one last night, that game against Philadelphia. I mean, you probably saw the highlight of that goal in overtime, barely making it over. It's just, you know, that's the way it goes. And I think that what worries me about it, Rod, is I look, you know, obviously they got the injection, you know, the shot in the arm, if you will, to get that hot streak, and they're playing better hockey. They've got, I think, 35 games left. 19 of them are on the road, and it's going to be a tough chore. They've got 47 points. In my opinion, they got to get 48 points out of those remaining games to get a wild card spot. I think 95 is probably the magic number. And how many times have you and I talked about this with Detroit? The goaltending, I think, is going to be the ultimate key. And also getting somebody like Rasmussen and, you know, going. A little bit disappointed in him with his output. I thought they'd get a little more out of Tarasenko. But yeah, everybody loves the Todd father right now in Detroit. You know, hopefully he can keep the Mo going. You know, they're coming back home now, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, I watched him here in Florida last weekend. Like in the NHL, every team's good enough that if you don't play well every night, you will lose. Like Chicago beat Vegas on Saturday night. I was there because the Blackhawks played very well. But in the case of Detroit, you named it some of the names there. You didn't mention Patrick Kane. Who's the little guy that came from Ottawa? He's from Detroit. Played in Chicago. Little guy. Right-handed shot. Yeah, DeBrincat. They got, DeBrincat. They got enough talent that they shouldn't be where they are. I'm with Stevie Y was right. And I guess that's the one thing. They were underachieving individually. He said it perfectly. But I get a kick out of you Detroiters. Are you in Detroit, by the way, Lou, or around Detroit? Where are you?
I'm about an hour west of Detroit, just outside of Lansing.
Okay, so the Motor City Mad Mouse, Scott Morganroth, who's a Wings guy, but he runs the South Florida Tribune. He goes, Wings fans are sick of losing. I'm like, you've won more Stanley Cups than any other team in the last 30 years. Is there any chance maybe you guys got spoiled a little bit, Lou?
There's a big that's you hit the nail right on the head. I mean, a lot of these folks, Rod, they're not like you and I. They weren't around in the 70s and in the early 80s when they had to give away a car at Joe Louis Arena to get fans to go to the Red Wings games. I mean, we went through the Brad Park debacle. God love him. With coaching, we got a little taste of success with Jacques Demers, but that, you know, how the playoff format used to be, where they would win the Norris division and then get pummeled by Edmonton every year in the semifinals to go to the Stanley Cup, you know. And so I don't know what it just kind of it really they're spoiled. 25 straight years of going to the Stanley Cup. I mean, yeah, it's insane.
Sorry about that, Lou. I have no idea what's going on. Right. Back in the Millennium Falcon there. John in Winnipeg, John Ohms, says the problem with the Detroit Lions was the Commanders. The Lions are a great team and will be strong next year. Before I let you go, let me throw this at you. Back to the NFL. Our poll question today is, what is the best matchup for Super Bowl 59? I'm not going to run through the 4 combinations. You know who they are as we go into the conference championship weekend on Sunday or conference championship Sunday. What's the Super Bowl that you'd like to see? What's the best matchup?
Well, I got to tell you, I would love to see the Bills and the Commanders. I really like. I love the style of offense that the Commanders played. I put on your poll though. My heart says Bills and Commanders, but my head says Bills and Eagles. I just think those are the 2 best teams. Like I said at the top when I was, with us, is the Commanders played the perfect game. Daniels hasn't made a mistake. I don't know if he can keep that up against the Eagles defense at Philadelphia. And, I love everything that Josh Allen does. I like that team. I think they're solid on the defensive side of the ball too. And, like a lot of people, I'm chiefed out. I just am. I'm chiefed out. I'm chiefed out. So my heart says Bills and Commanders, but I'm going Bills and Eagles.
You know what? I think a lot of us are chiefed out, but I wonder if the NFL is. We had this discussion last hour with Rod Black, and you must be aware who Rod is. You're close enough to the Canadian border.
Mm-hmm.
He's an icon in Canada. And what's best for business? Like, you have your take, I have mine as to who we'd like to see, but who does the NFL want? And, of course, the Americans always think that things are rigged. It's not rigged, but there is something to teams being favored. For instance, 5 straight Stanley Cup finals in Florida. Panthers get the calls. The Lightning got the calls. That's what I'm saying. Kansas City's getting the calls. It's a subconscious thing. It's favored. Who do you think the NFL wants? Are they getting chiefed out? Or would they like to see the three-peat?
They would love nothing better to see Kansas City in the Super Bowl because they're the villains. It's just like pro wrestling, Rod. You need a baby face and you need a villain. Kansas City's the villain in 98% of the people's eyes throughout North America, right? And I don't think they care. I think they may lean towards Washington, but I think they're the villains, and I think Philadelphia would be the perfect baby face.
I'm enjoying the discussion, Lou. I always enjoy our chats. Jeff in Calgary, Stamps fan, writes, and he says, somebody seemed to be taking the Bills over the Chiefs at Arrowhead. I don't know why. The odds have the Chiefs by 2. So I may be chiefed out. I don't think they're the villains yet. Like, I'm tired of the Taylor Swift story, but I'm also not a hater. I'm not there yet. I might get there, but I'm not there yet. And Colt, one last question for you. I don't know how much you follow the NBA, but Colt says, will the Pistons ever be good again? Since you're our Michigan guy, you got to answer the question, Lou.
Well, what they're going to need is they're going to need somehow to get a breakthrough star to go there. And it's just a different time, Rod. They'll be decent. I think they're going to go to the playoffs this year. Bickerstaff has them playing better. They'll get in the play-in portion of it. But it's going to take a long time for them to get back to where they were, the bad boy era 25 years ago or 35 years ago, and they go to lunch Pistons or go to work Pistons 20 years ago. It's going to be a long time. And I don't know. I mean, they're right here and everybody else is like way up here. And, they might sniff maybe an opening round playoff, but no, they're a long ways away yet. It's great to see them actually winning because it's my son, who's a big NBA fan, pointed out last year at this time, Dad, they were 4-40. So, I mean, 22-21 isn't too bad.
All right, Lou. Somebody's really trying to get a hold of you. We'll let you answer that. And if I may, you look a lot better clean shaven. I'm just putting that out there. That's my Joe Girardi, Lou Lamoriello take, man. Yeah. Good. Speaking of Lou, thank you, Lou. Good job, buddy. Keep in touch.
Thank you. As always, thank you.
Captain Lou Gamelin from the Captain Lou Extravaganza in Michigan, the 12-ounce Sports Network. We'll be right back with a sports update. Clark and I are going to play NHL breakaway bets, and you and me the rest of the way. 902-518-3033, and the streaming chat. We'll be right back here on Game Plus TV, streaming live and podcast wherever the best podcasts are found.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Canada's premier Junior A Hockey League deserves premier coverage, and at IKS Media, we have you covered for all things SJHL. SJHL Weekly on Monday, a live broadcast across our social media platforms where we interview your favorite players and coaches from across the league and preview the upcoming week. And on Thursday, SJHL Insider, where we look ahead to the weekend that will be and cover everything going on across the league. Catch it all on our social media platforms or on sjhl.ca.
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Everybody, transform your audience with powerful presentations from EMJ Marketing's elite speakers. Check out their website for more information at emjmarketing.com. And while we're at it, sports fans, join the Rod Squad newsletter today. Stay ahead of the game with exclusive insights, updates, contests, and exclusive content delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up for free today at rodpedersen.com. What are you seeing, everybody? Are you seeing black? Is that a me thing, Clark? We had that happen before. Okay, thanks. That's a me thing. Boop. How about that? Literally just my sound box. I put it on the wrong bumper here. How about that? Okay.
Hot damn.
Sorry. Blame me. Tony and Cochran, regarding our NFL poll, what's the best Super Bowl matchup? He says, Hurts hurt, as in Jalen Hurts. He says, and not very mobile. Commanders are on a Cinderella run and face the Bills. That's from Tony in Cochran. You're going by what you hear in the media. Just be very careful what you hear out there. And they also have the best running back in the game in Saquon Barkley. You know, we had the poll the other day. Who is the best running back in the NFL, Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley? One's playing this Sunday, the other isn't. And while Lamar Jackson's getting all the flack and his playoff record dropped to 3-5, it's not Lamar Jackson's fault they didn't win. Where was Derrick Henry? Mark Andrews drops, as you know, the game-tying two-point convert pass. It's unfortunate. I think they can win a game with Jalen Hurts at 80%. I really do. Colton San Diego says, I got the Bills and Eagles to play in New Orleans for Super Bowl. Okay. Somebody wrote in here, 902-518-3033. Here it is, Kirk in Toronto. We appreciate all of you Eastern viewers. Sure do. 902-518-3033. He says, Jared Goff's performance was eerily similar to Chad Kelly's implosion in the 2023 Eastern Final. I'm just going to prepare you for something. You're going to be hearing a lot about Chris Chelios for the next while. And it's funny because that Washington-Detroit game on Saturday night, you can't watch it all. I'm not a scout. I'm not a general manager. I don't pretend to be. So I'm not going to PVR games and go back and watch them tomorrow. Don't want to, don't care to, not my job. So Saturday night, we're in the United Center watching the Blackhawks and Golden Knights. Chris Chelios is hosting us, and this tells you what kind of guy he is, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I told you he was glued to the television watching his Detroit Lions implode, and he was spitting. He's like, they're cursed. He apologized at least 3 times for not going out and watching the hockey game. He's probably upset. He probably didn't want the Chicago Blackhawks to know because he's supposed to be hosting the suite. We don't care. He's Chris Chelios. Do what you want. He goes, I'm so sorry, but this is my team. We're like, you're good. Pose for a photo, and we're all good. My point on that is you can watch the highlights. You can read the newspaper stories after, if that's your thing. Watch the interviews. But unless you watched the game, you don't really know. So for Kirk to say Jared Goff looked like Chad Kelly, you may be right. I didn't see it. I didn't really see any of it. I was entranced with the Blackhawks and the Golden Knights. You know, Moose wrote a column, his weekly column. It's up at rodpeterson.com right now. And he goes, it's easy to follow all of these things when you're interested in them. Darren's got an unbelievable column there on college football playoff and should it change? NFL conference championships, what's the best matchup? That's where I got the idea for today's poll. And then, you know, this, by the way, is the other thing. College football, whether I want to get into it or not, I don't have a choice. I'm getting pulled into it. When you live here, you do not have a choice. But I find it really interesting that the team with the highest payroll in college, and if you don't understand what I'm saying, you probably never will. You're not following it. The team with the highest payroll, i.e., name, image, likeness deals, is the team that won it all. So again, the team that pays the most wins. Dodgers, MLB. NFL doesn't count. They got the measures in place so that you can't buy a championship. But in college football, you can. In Major League Baseball, you can't necessarily, but you put yourself ahead of the pack if you do. And this is where they're ruining it in college football. And I don't want to necessarily go down this road too far because we're not the college football show. But we got a school just down the road from me, the FAU Owls. They play in the American Football Conference. They don't have the NIL money. They don't have the money. I could literally sit there and see the AD, the athletics director, going, thought we were a university. You see these teams now are hiring the general managers. G. Roy Simon, we thought was going to Sacramento State, and then did we not see that he turned around and a week later he was at Maryland? It's insane, and in a lot of ways, it's turning a lot of people off. It's why Nick Saban got out of it in terms of working with one school. He's now on television. But it's like, imagine if you were a fan of the FAU Owls, which there aren't that many to begin with, but it's like, we'll never have a chance because we don't have the money, we don't have the boosters, we're not a blue blood, we're nothing. Sorry to say, but it's true. We'll never, ever, ever be good. because we're not like OSU paying $20 million to players. It's ruining college football. The greed has got them to this point, and it sucks. And yet nobody seems to care. That's the other thing. The ratings were great. The national championship was a dud. The evil team won. Jim Barker called it good versus evil, Notre Dame versus OSU. But in America, nobody really cares. And that's the big difference between the States and Canada. In Canada, everything needs to be fair. Everybody needs to make the same amount. The payroll needs to be the same in the CFL. Huge shift in mindset. But at least it makes it fair for all the fan bases. I'm not saying one's right or wrong, by the way. I'm saying there's a huge difference. They're not the same. Overtime's next. We'll turn it over to you. Viewer Takeover. We'll be right back here on Game Plus Television, streaming live and podcast wherever the best podcasts are found.
From cash spiels to Grand Slams, club competitions to world championships, there's a lot to keep up with on the pebbled ice. Stay up to date with the Hardline Curling Show, your weekly source for everything curling, with the latest event results, breaking news, interviews with players, executives, and insiders, plus behind-the-scenes access you won't get anywhere else. Follow us on Facebook, X, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube. Make sure you don't miss a thing.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Welcome to the Create Space at IKS Media. Meetings, podcasts, studio. Whether you're here to collaborate or educate, our versatile meeting places, workspaces, and studios await. Your next big idea starts here. Make our space your space. The Create Space at IKS.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Gonna do my ever-loving best to keep it focused here in Overtime, brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. And I'm not sure if Randy and Michelle have been watching all show or if they just tuned in from Overtime Hockey Lanes, but we're very proud and excited to announce we're extending our partnership for another year with Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. It's an amusement park for hockey players. By the way, Randy, have you thought about expanding to South Florida? I'm just going to put that out there because there's a lot of folks here that think it would go over big. We love it. They're doing great things in Calgary, though, as well. Of course, where skill and fun collide. Overtime Hockey Lanes in Cowtown. Check them out at 28th Street Northeast. Office parties, team building, birthday parties, you name it. They got it all. It's a match made in heaven. The RP Show and Overtime Hockey Lanes. Why I said I'm going to try and keep it focused here. We got a lot of fun things percolating in the comments section. I'm not going to lie. Colton San Diego writes in and he says, what's your favorite thing to eat on Super Bowl Sunday? Let's push that to next week. I need to think about it. Brent in Wellington, Florida is watching. What are we doing for Super Bowl, Brent? Can I suggest the Palm Beach Kennel Club? I'm just putting that out there, too. I'm just putting that out there. They have a great buffet there. I may even host their Super Bowl party at the Palm Beach Kennel Club. We'll see. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, hey, Rod, is Chicago better than New York City? Eons better than New York City. Not even in the same stratosphere. My opinion. You New York fans don't get mad, but Chicago blows them away. Sorry for the pun, the Windy City. New York stinks. Too busy. I would say too cold, but it was minus 28 Celsius in Chicago, so they had that too. Hard to get around, New York. Chicago has none of those things. It kind of smells like steak. Chicago, at least it did for me.
How about that?
The pizza was incredible. The people were incredible. I made quick, fast friends with the Blackhawks alumni. Saw some old friends like Kyle Calder. Said his dad, Bill, and Mom Diane watched the show every day in Manville, Alberta on Game Plus TV. I had such a great time in Chicago. Not that I didn't have a great time in New York, but it's just not my town. Brenton Wellington goes on to say, hope all the Commanders fans make it out to Philly. Hope all the Commander fans make it out of Philly in one piece. Boy, those fans are, let's call it, interesting. Where is a place, everybody, that you went as the opposition and feared for your personal safety? I'll go first. Swift Current. But that was my own fault. Usually is. Ryan in upstate New York says, breaking news, New York Jets, to no one's surprise, will name Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn their new head coach, per Adam Schefter. Thanks, Ryan. It's interesting, I hate this coaching carousel thing. The football people love it, and the football fans love it. I get it. But I'd rather talk about the actual things that are going on, and that's the games. Clark, are you ready to play NHL Breakaway Bets? There's only 4 games. You there? Hello? Is Clark there? Am I on? Okay. NHL Breakaway Bets. You ready to go? There's only 4 games. Boston, New Jersey Devils. Who do you like? Me too. Rod and Clark both taking the Devils. Columbus Blue Jackets at Toronto. Let me guess. You'll take the Leafs. He's taking the Leafs. I'll take Columbus. Winnipeg Jets at Colorado. Jets had their ass ripped by their coach, Scott Arniel, the other night. So I'll take the Jets to win at Colorado. But how about you? Okay, he's Colorado. Clark says Colorado. And Winnipeg, blame Clark. And Florida at the LA Kings tonight. I'll let you go first. I already know who I'm going to pick, but you go first. He's taking LA. I will too. Panthers just played last night. So we both got the Kings. Thank you, Clark. That was easy. Colt in San Diego writes in, he says, we can't hear Clark. I know, Colt. You do you. We'll do us. We never hear Clark. No, Tony from Cochrane, Alberta writes in, he says, downtown San Diego after dark. I meant sporting events. What sporting events have you gone and been fearful for your personal safety? Not downtown San Diego. Gastown. I never had a problem in San Diego, but that's just me. Kind of depends on the area that you go. I was feared for my personal safety going to the wrong end of Milestone, Saskatchewan. Colton San Diego says, is it true that Lincoln Financial Field has a jail at the stadium? Hey, Colt, why don't you go there and find out?
How about
Dallas
that?
does, by the way. Dallas does, by the way. And it also has a private parking garage for Jerry Jones and his family and their own elevator that goes right into their suite. You want to talk about entitlement and privilege. The more I keep talking, the less I become a Dallas Cowboys fan. It would be okay if we, as in Dallas, if we won, it would be okay. You can do whatever you want. 30 seconds and we're done. Well, we covered it all. Why did I not write Rod Black down on the show? We had Rod Black in hour 1, Lou Gamelin in hour 2. It was great. You're in for a treat tomorrow. The Motor City Madmouth, Scott Morganroth, is going to be with us. Get ready. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for having fun with us. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern, right here.
Great job, Jordan, by the way. I love the job you did on that.